Life on the road is not for everyone, and everyone lives it differently. This is Interviews with Touring Techs.
Hi, I'm Tom Spaulding. I'm currently the Artist Relations guy for D'Addario in Nashville. And in the past, I've done a lot of guitar teching for bands like Keith Urban, Aerosmith, John Fogerty, Hall & Oates, Winona, Trisha Yearwood, Warren Brothers, Leroy Parnell, Leanne Rimes, and a few others.
How did you get into the music business, and what was your path to teching?
When I was working at Gibson, I was in the sales and marketing department at Gibson, and went from the USA plant to the custom shop plant, and then from there to product manager for the keyboard line. At the time it was Oberheim, and when that shut down, I was back on the street and decided to go into teching. My friend Jeff Sen, who makes Jeff Sen guitars, was a tech for Trisha Yearwood, and he said, "You should come out and try this," and I did, and did it for about 12 years.
What kind of education, self or formal, have you sought out to use being a road tech?
Most of the stuff that I do, I was more like I'm not the kind of guy who'll tear an amp apart, that kind of thing. Most of the stuff I learned from like Dan Erlewine columns and guitar player as a kid growing up. I lived in a small town and there weren't really a lot of repairmen anywhere near me, so I had to learn how to do intonation and that kind of stuff on my own. And then as I got older, I learned a few things from watching other techs and seeing how they did stuff. And again, the Erlewine books, he's got a couple good ones out. I think How to Make Your Electric Guitar Play Great is a really good one to have. I used to carry that around in my work box just for extra, reading and for downtime, but it's kind of self-taught.
Do you play any instruments? If so, which ones and for how long have you played?
Been a guitar player since I was 13, which would make it 37 years now, so I should be a lot better when you say 37 years, but I still play with my wife. She's a singer-songwriter, and we do gigs and that kind of stuff, and I practice still, a little bit every day and keep that up. I own a bass. I wouldn't say I'm a bass player. I own a mandolin and a dobro. I wouldn't say I'm a player of any skill level on those, but I do like to mess around with other things, and at least when we're doing demos at I have a little home studio, at least I'll have the instruments that are a little bit wider palette to choose from rather than just guitars all the time. I can pick up a dobro or a mandolin and try a little part or a banjo type of thing, so I do that.
How has having been a touring tech helped you to be a better AR rep for D'Addario?
I like to say that I can speak a lot of different languages. I can speak the language of techs and how we talk about things, and the shortcuts and the slang that we use, and also just the shared experience that I have with techs. I also, having been worked at Gibson in a manufacturing point of view, I have that whole language and vibe that I can speak to those people about. Having worked at retail in a music store back in Wisconsin for many years, I know that side of it. As a player, I know another side of it that I can talk about when a guitar tech or a guitar player says to his tech, well, this is happening or that's happening, and I play a note. As a player myself, I can relate to what he's trying to say to me, and I can try to maybe solve his problem from a more informed point of view, because I can also play as well as just tech. So,
what do you think it takes to be a good tech?
In the sense of it's kind of like a bartender type of thing. You need to not only have your skills and all your formulations, but you also have to be a people person and kind of deal with people's moods, try to create a vibe for that person every day, so it's the same kind of a thing. What they're dealing with as musicians is they're trying to create the music they're trying to create in a new venue every day, and they've already been pushed around on buses and hotel rooms and green rooms and catering, and they don't have a lot of sameness. So what we try to do with the stage is make it home for them. It always looks the same regardless of what room we're in. It always has everything in the same spot so that they feel very comfortable, and there's no anticipation on their part or anxiety about where things might be or what things might happen. Your job is pretty much to make it as comfortable an environment to create music in for the guy you're working for, or guys you're working for, or girls, that you can.
What was your favorite day off activity on the road?
I guess just getting together with the guys and hitting a movie up or something. I know we saw a lot of movies, walked a lot of malls in my day. Some guys would rent bikes and stuff. I never did much of that. I'm more of if it was a day off, I kind of either stayed in my room and worked on music. I wrote a lot of songs. When on days off, especially I think a couple we were off in Hawaii with Aerosmith, and I had a couple of good songs that turned out to be ending up on one of my wife's records. So I did a lot of songwriting.
Being married, how did you juggle having a happy personal life and enjoy being a touring tech?
The first half of me being a touring tech was my first marriage, and that ended Probably because I was gone so much that we just kind of weren't seeing enough of each other. And then when I remarried, she was already a musician and understood what was going on with that, and wasn't quite so didn't have expectations that maybe the first time around did. So, and it just you got to find the right partner who gets that you're going to be gone for weeks at a time.
What advice would you give someone that wants to get into teching?
I think the best thing you can do is become, it's got to be something that you like and that you enjoy, and you got to kind of be gear savvy and be able to not only just deal with the job that you're given and the tools that particular guitar player is using. I like to liken it to a chef. Let's say there's certain chefs that have certain types of tools, pans, whatever, knives and forks and whatever they're using to prepare their particular food. Same kind of thing with musicians. They have certain gear they like, but you need to be conversant and aware of all the new things that come out that may help them do their job better, or all the things in the past that come out that they might say, hey, I want the sound of an old fuzz box from the 60s. What's out there now that does that? You need to kind of be conversant in all that and stay up on all that. So you can spend a lot of time at places like the Gear page or Gear Sluts if you're looking at recording stuff, or keep a good eye on Guitar World, Guitar Player, all their special issues that have stuff, and just keep your fingers into the industry as far as what's going on with pedal makers, amp makers. These days it's a lot different than it was when I was a kid, and there's 1,000 places to buy an amp and 1,000 different places to buy a stomp box, where it wasn't that way when I was Boss and DOD when I was a kid, and there was Fenders and Marshalls and a few others maybe for amps. But now there's so many options that it's more of a challenge to stay current, but you still can do it. The most important thing I can say for advice about tech is learn how to live with 10 other guys in a 45-foot bus, because that really is where you'll get hired or fired. It's your ability to hang out with other people and deal with all their quirks and have them be able to deal with your quirks, and kind of not slam the door, not leave your stuff in the hallway, all the things that you need to do to make it so that 10 guys can live together in one small space like that. That's the most important skill to have that's not technical related. You really got to be a good people person. You got to be considerate of other people's concerns and needs, and they of course do the same to you.
What do you think about the stigma of guitar techs on the road being washed up musicians that couldn't hack it? Well,
there's some of that. I mean, I guess I was one of those. I didn't sit in my room and practice Jimmy Page licks and Aerosmith records to tune somebody else's guitars, but that's what I ended up doing. So there's a place for musicians. There's a place for the guys who support them. It's more of a you got to come to peace with it yourself. I mean, there are some guys that I've seen, like Bobby Schneck is a great example, who's a fantastic guitar player. When I was with Aerosmith, he was teching for Brad Whitford, and I believe because of some of the shows that we did where our sound check, we would play Comfortably Numb and some really good songs, and Bobby had all the parts nailed, and he was we were opening for one of Slash's bands. I don't remember which one it was, and he ended up playing in Slash's band all last year. I think he might have been discovered by that. So if you're a really good player and you're looking to do that, I've seen guys do it. They can do both. I never did. I think I started out as a player. I think I played with the Lins. It was the one touring gig I did as a player, and after that I just teched. But some guys appreciated it. Like when I worked with Fogerty, he would come and we would. He'd say, "Oh, show me how to do that Freddie Green, jazz rhythm thing," and he was always looking to learn stuff, and he appreciated it. Some people don't. Some people say, I don't want to hear you play. I don't want to hear this and that, and it's just up to what you are. But I don't buy that there's a difference between the tech and the musician. We both have jobs. We're both getting paid by the same guy to do a job, and I don't believe there's any kind of a hierarchy, or should be at least hierarchy between the musician and the tech. It's the same. We both have vital roles in the show that day.
What did you love about being a tech? And now that you're off the road, what is one of the things that you miss the most about being a touring guy?
The great thing about being a tech, as far as having it as a job, is that as people, we all like to get feedback from and response from our efforts. And that's the kind of job where you'll get immediate feedback and response from your efforts, because if you don't do your job, bad things happen and the show can stop. So the challenge was to always be thinking so many steps ahead, being so prepared, having so many backups ready, that it was never an issue. So show after show after show after show of successful things is really a comment on your own skills and your own ability to make it happen every day. So that was fun, and it's nice to be, it's kind of a merit-based thing. If you can hack it, you can do it. If you can't hack it, it's immediately apparent to everybody. And so I think that's really good. And what I miss about it is the camaraderie of hanging out with your gang, because you spend so much time together, you eat together, you sleep together. You know, you go everywhere together, travel together. You all have a shared experience for, you know, if you stay at a gig years at a time, certainly months at a time, and so you all have this thing in common. So it's everybody was hot the same day, everybody was cold the same day, everybody was hungry the same day. So there's all that shared stuff. And I think that's kind of a fraternity that I think soldiers get into as well. And you know, any kind of groups that stay together under varying conditions, you kind of get to be a brotherhood like that. And I know we talk to each other and call each other brother all the time, and it's kind of a whole other subculture that was a really fun part to be part of.